and welcome to another live episode of Strong Style. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha. We're excited to be joined by these two gentlemen again for this week's shenanigans and this week's conversation about everything going on in the world of pro wrestling. Joined as always there as we've been hanging and banging for years now on this show. Aaron Turner, how are you?
Definitely haven't been banging, but I'm just sitting here, just sitting here in the glow of this wonderful office, and bask in his glory. We'll talk about it later, but I'm excited.
That's right. He's talking about Keith Lee. Definitely going to get into that. And we got the Switchblade as well. Him coming to the AEW. And guess who's been coming here to Strong Styles? Chris Burns again. How are you, Chris?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm out east. Wishing I was out west. Well, kind of. My city's probably kind of a shit show right now, but that's all right. Go Rams.
That's true. It's going to be crazy. It is Super Bowl weekend. It's going to be nuts out there for sure tomorrow. Thank God I'm down here in San Diego, and I got to touch any of that nonsense that's going on there because I've been there with national championships, and even in Pasadena, it gets hairy in LA for that for sure. But we're here to talk about pro wrestling. We're going to jump in, as I said, all this stuff that happened with Keith Lee and Jay White debuting in AEW. We're going to talk a little Raw, talk about the rest of Dynamite, a little MJF, a little Punk action, an incredible Texas death match with Lance Archer and Hangman Adam Page. Get into Hikaru Shida and some of the comments she's been making about Japanese female wrestlers. An incredibly, how can I say this, incisive and open letter that she wrote about the struggles Japanese wrestlers, female wrestlers have coming to AEW. And of course, the drama continues between Becky Lynch, the man, and Ric Flair getting into it on social media. What is going on here? We're going to break down the latest barbs between them. We're going to break it all down as well. But remember, the Streamlabs and Superchats are open, so send in your support here for everything we got going on. You got any questions about professional wrestling, any questions about the events that happened this week in WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, what have you, we will talk about it all for sure. Aaron, all right, where shall we start, my man?
All right, we're going to start with Monday Night Raw, I guess. If you want, I'll just run down what happened and we can talk about it. Not a lot here because Raw was preempted this week. Well, not preempted, but it wasn't on the USA Network due to the Olympic coverage from NBC. So it was moved over to the Sci-Fi Channel, which it's been there before, so it's not out of the ordinary. But RK Bro started us off by defeating Alpha Academy in a wrestling match. No, a quiz bowl. So there's that. And then the Alpha Academy defeated the Street Profits with nothing. No heat, no nothing. But anyway, AJ Styles defeated Damian Priest. Good match. The Miz defeated Dominic Mysterio. Bianca Belair defeated Nikki ASH. Kevin Owens got some revenge and defeated Austin Theory. Doudrop defeated Liv Morgan in a rematch there. And Seth Rollins, for the first time ever going against him, defeated Riddle. So also worth noting before we get to your guys' thoughts here, this is a record low episode for Monday Night Raw on the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know what that means. It was just in an article. I put it in there. I don't really put a lot into ratings. I mean, I assume a lot of people are watching the Olympic coverage, so that probably had something to do with it on Monday nights. So what did you guys think here of Monday Night Raw?
I've been kind of going through Monday Night Raw every week and fast forwarding what I don't want to watch or watching some of the highlights and stuff like that. I will say this: there were some good matches. I thought the Rollins situation there with Matt Riddle worked out. I'm not the biggest Matt Riddle fan, bro, but so seeing him go toe to toe with Rollins and then turning it into a tag match, I thought was really good. And it seems to be setting up down the road when Rollins has a belt that we've got Riddle in the mix in all of this as well. The Street Profits losing, I was a little surprised by that, but then again, they're the champs, so you kind of have to give them a little bit of a rub. The whole idea of the quiz bowl or whatever, that was kind of lame. I did like the scooter thing. I thought that was fine, except like always, we have those weird vignettes with people who are backstage, like Dana Brooke all of a sudden getting attacked by Tamina, and Tamina going afterwards, looking around. Everyone have to look around and do the weird face when you see them going around and doing their thing with the speed. So, I mean, overall, I thought the in-ring action was certainly a lot better than the out-of-the-ring action. What did you think there, Chris?
I got to disagree with you.
Okay.
I know this goes against everything maybe I've ever preached since being on the show.
Yes.
I enjoyed the Quiz Bowl.
All right.
Criticize all you want. Because all I ask,
you will.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I've been watching pro wrestling for a very long time. I've seen some things in the golden era that were unbelievably silly. The 80s,
no lie.
90s. I mean, we once did a pose down between the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude that I was captivated by in the late 80s. Like, and all I ask with silly segments, because they're inevitable in wrestling, if they're going to happen, just be entertaining. And I was at least very entertained by the Quiz Bowl. I got to see some personality from Chad Gable, which if you give the guy a mic and some time to speak, he's actually got charisma.
You're not wrong. I mean? Chris, he felt like a young Kurt Angle, if you don't mind me saying so. I got the vibes big time off the same speech patterns, the same interactions, the same comedy beats. You're right there.
And weirdly enough, they chose the black guy to be his illegitimate son. Never gonna make any sense of that angle, no pun intended. But yeah, I enjoyed the Quiz Bowl. I always enjoyed KO. I love the team of KO and Seth Rollins together.
Yeah.
Give me that feud with RK Bro, and they've got some magic waiting to happen. But yeah, the rest of the show pretty inconsequential.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, I agree with you overall about that. The Bianca Belair, Nikki ASH, that was such a quick match in the end. So what did you really get out of that? And Doudrop beating Liv Morgan. I mean, they're definitely building up now. Liv had her run, got a shot at the title now. So going all the way back to the mid card, and Doudrop now kind of being pushed up. She's probably going to win Elimination Chamber, and that because of that great showing she had against Becky Lynch. So eventually she'll be in line for another title shot. And may become a fan favorite, even though she's not fully heel. What do you think about all of this that happened, Aaron? And was the Miz TV segment one of the worst things you've ever seen?
Listen, man. I'm not here to hate on the Miz, but I like Raw Underground. So what the hell can I say about a Quiz Bowl? Honestly, that hasn't, they can't really dog that if I like Raw Underground. But I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something about the Miz. If we want to talk about that for a second,
go ahead.
Go ahead and tell me think about it for a second. I want everybody to think about this. Who is a homegrown WWE talent? Like think of the last WWE homegrown talent.
The Rock, right? That's homegrown.
I guess so. But right now, currently, it's the Miz.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the Miz came from Tough Enough. The Miz, went through the system. He did his thing. He didn't come from Ring of Honor. He didn't come from these places. So I got a lot of love for the Miz. I think he gets put in these stupid feuds, and this is just what happens. So he's just kind of there, and then whenever they need to put him somewhere, there he goes.
Yeah.
We'll just pencil him in here. He's never going to, unfortunately, be like the dominant WWE champion that he should have been, but that is what it is. Anyway, the rest of Monday Night Raw, pretty much a nothing burger for me. Kevin Owens beating Austin Theory really doesn't do anything for me because Austin Theory seems like a dude that's on the rise. Like Vince McMahon's again, penciled this guy in to do stuff. And as for Elimination Chamber, Doudrop, no. Bianca Belair.
Bianca.
They are running so hard with Bianca, as they should be. And, she had a great showing on one leg. She beat Nikki ASH, a former women's champion.
True.
And they had her doing all the press for the UK tour in Wembley. Her and the Street Profits were doing the tour. So I think they're ready to do this with Bianca again. Get her that revenge on Becky Lynch on the biggest stage of them all. I'd love to see it.
Maybe it's Bianca and Doudrop at the end of Elimination Chamber. That could be interesting, seeing those two going at it. I'd be down with that. But the Street Profits taking a loss here. Chris, tell me, is this... the Street Profits came out of NXT like they were going to be the next big thing. And have they been kind of sidelined here? Or do you think they're just kind of biding their time a little bit with them and then boom, they're going to push them back up the charts here to be the champs? What do you think's happening here?
Very simple question. What's your favorite Street Profits story? Has there ever been one?
Yeah, all right.
They've been the tag team champions. They've had feuds.
Yeah.
They've, had the series of games with the Viking Raiders, but no stories, no angles, no anything. It's just been a whole hey, these guys are energetic. You like them, right? Look at them. They got cups. And that's just been the whole thing with the Street Profits. I mean, look, they're unbelievably charismatic. Montez Ford, is a freak of nature as far as athleticism is concerned. When he does that Superman hand up plancha or whatever he does over the top rope, I'm worried for him every single time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look, you know what it is. Eventually, Angelo Dawkins is going to find his way, being the Eric Rowan of the situation real soon. But, yeah, I mean, they just don't give him much to do ever. And, yeah, it's kind of like what you were saying about The Miz, Aaron. Anytime you need you need a tag team in a situation, we need two guys to fight these other two guys. Street Profits, they'll do it.
Right.
And that's just kind of what they're cleanup men at this moment.
Wow. That's man. I mean, it's not as bad as the Ascension. It's not as bad as the Viking Raiders, but it's because they're over and people love the Street Profits. But at some point, I think you make an excellent point. You got to give them some kind of legendary feud or some legendary story, as you said, for the fans to really dial into this situation. And I wonder what they're waiting for, because these two, unless they're setting up the breakup, unless they're just kind of letting them kind of go through the paces, go through the motions, give them a little bit of in-ring action, and then eventually set up the breakup. Because those things that Aaron and Chris have both mentioned, this idea that one is better than the other, that drumbeat is getting louder and louder on social media. And so that may end up happening a lot more sooner than we expect. So we'll see. We got a couple of super chats that have come in here real quick. Empire Fan 1980 says, "Hey guys, I would love to see them play the Peacemaker theme and have the cast do the intro at WrestleMania. The only time I'd be happy to see John Cena." Jesus Christ.
What? Let me tell you guys something real quick about Peacemaker. I watched it on Friday. I hadn't started it yet. I blew through all 7 episodes. Yep. John Cena, man, like I'm telling you, especially episodes like 6 and 7, when it gets like heavy.
Yeah.
John was right. He told me this a couple weeks ago. John Cena, range. He's got it. He's got it there. What a great show that's turning out to be. Like in the first bit, it's like, yeah, we're doing the stuff from Suicide Squad where it's like funny, haha. And then it's like, okay, we're getting emotionally deep with this. And I love it. And I love John Cena, and I think he's great. I think the whole cast works. That's my thoughts on Peacemaker. Will they do that? No. What they should have done if they really wanted to do something was have John Cena come out as Peacemaker at the Royal Rumble. That would have been fun.
Oh my God.
But because he loves it. He loves doing it. Like he wears that outfit all the time. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
It's a great show. It's a great show, Chris.
I'm about to say, no, Aaron called it perfectly. Like that was the right moment, the right spot. Look, if we're going to have zombies invade the WWE at some point, why not have a DC comic superhero? But dude, Cena's been great. I've yet to really see a role, except in Fast and the Furious, when he was playing it way too straight for those kind of movies.
Right.
He's pretty much been great in everything ever since his debut in that Amy Schumer movie. So, and I'm sorry, Empire Fan, you've never seen John Cena.
Hey. There you go.
Hey, real quick, John, to add on to something about Peacemaker real quick.
Sure.
Do you feel that this is a Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool situation? Like when Ryan Reynolds got Deadpool, it's like, this fits because he should have always been Deadpool. I feel that way with John Cena and Peacemaker. Like I don't think anybody could do it the way that he does it.
Yeah. Well, look, this has been the complaint, right? When in the old days, when you read superheroes, especially Image, who like to throw muscles upon muscles, when you read those superhero comic books, you're like, man, wouldn't this be great to get this live action? Except dudes who are big can't really act. You don't really see that many dudes who are large who can act. And so Cena kind of breaking that mold once and for all, coming in massive, not as big as The Rock is, but massive certainly, and giving this character such pathos that you would find in a comic book. And he does a great job with it. It's a rarity. It's an absolute rarity. And every once in a while, you find that role that elevates you. Look, Ryan Reynolds, people forget, he was straight to DVD at the time when Deadpool came out. Like before that, all his movies were going straight to DVD. After his initial ascent with that Van Wilder stuff, he kind of started falling back into that kind of Bruce Willis territory of just doing movies for money that nobody was seeing in the theaters. Then Deadpool elevator. I think here with John Cena, Cena's been good, as Chris pointed out. Cena's been good on a number of areas, but he didn't quite jump to show you that he could really act until this series. This series now elevates Cena into a whole nother stratosphere. You can't do that Fast 9 stuff. It's still unbelievable when he plays those roles. But I don't know, the kind of anger, the frustration, the vulnerability, the rage at himself, the mental health stuff. It's all there for you to explore in this series, and he does it to a T. He's perfectly directed as well, and that may be just a combo of James Gunn and John Cena being on the same page together about this character. So yeah, we're gonna see more from him for sure. I thought for sure it was Batista who was going to get the Oscar. Don't be fucking surprised if John Cena now at some point down the road wins the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for something that he's in, either for comedic purposes. Marissa Tomei won for My Cousin Vinny, or a little more dramatic combo with the comedic stuff. Don't be surprised. I mean, it's in the cards now, and it wasn't before this series. Orlando Orega says, happy to see Keith Lee and Jay White in AEW, hoping Keith becomes champ soon and we finally get Elite versus the Bullet Club. Chris, you on board with this?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Much love to Tony Khan, who admitted that he botched his own situation.
Oh, yes.
And did a whole, the forbidden door is going to be open and slammed shut next week. They realized he hired somebody that wasn't working for another company. Keith Lee showing up, he's a free agent. That's not a forbidden door situation. So he doubled down, said who would make a lot of sense, who would be fun for the fans, because that's the most fundamental thing.
Yeah.
What are the fans going to enjoy? What makes sense? What is going to be a surprise, a legitimate surprise? And yeah, I mean, because I thought Jay White would have shown up a long time ago. Like he had shown up in AAA, and he had shown up in Impact, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it was only a matter of time. And so they finally gave it to us. They delivered. And I mean, look, Keith Lee looked great. Keith Lee looked like Independence Keith Lee. He looked like NXT Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Did not look like the Bearcat.
Oh, God.
And then, the intrigue with Jay White. I mean, I know, Aaron, that the Bullet Club doesn't exist in your wrestling universe, but let me tell you, they're out there. And we've been waiting for this forever. We thought we were getting it towards the sort of end run of Kenny and the Bucks in New Japan, and then they formed AEW, and we never really got a proper Bullet Club Elite situation. But now all the pieces are in play. Give me the Gorillas of Destiny, baby. That's what I need. Tama Tonga. Let's go.
Aaron, thoughts on this with Keith Lee and Jay White?
Well, it's very simple. This is what you do. You take Jay White, Gorillas of Destiny, one team. Omega, Bucks, another team.
Oof.
Cole, Fish, O'Reilly, another team.
Oh,
you put him in Blood and Guts or War Games. You put him in there and you just let him go. You just let him go, and then just there you go.
Oof. That's actually not bad.
And you can build the drama because Adam Cole has previously been in the Bullet Club. Kenny and the Bucks as well. Like, do they all just join together, or stuff like that? So there you go. Place. I mean, Jay White didn't shake their hands and give them hugs or anything. He just helped beat up poor Trent and Rocky Romero. So it didn't really do anything there. But of course, I'm happy to see Keith Lee back. We're gonna put a pin in that.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that. Absolutely. All right, and one super chat one Streamlab came through here from Roberto Arsenal. My first ever super chat when Strong Style started was about me praising Jay White. Happy he's in the AEW while he's in the States. I wish Bam Bam was alive to see Keith Lee. Dynamite was a solid 9 out of 10 for me this week. Roberto, I'm not gonna say no to you, man. I felt that way too. When you compare it to Raw, which was a little bit of a slog to get through, AEW was zippity. I mean, it was zipping all through that whole show. So we'll talk about that though in just a second. Where are we off to next here, Aaron?
We're talking about one of the greatest feuds in the history of professional wrestling, and that is the Nature Boy Ric Flair and no, not Ricky Steamboat, not Hulk Hogan, not Vader. It is Becky Lynch that he's having a problem with yet again. You guys aren't up to speed on this. There, the heat over the man situation. The whole, is it mine? Is it yours? And then Becky and Rick have been doing this back and forth, mostly Rick, but Becky just having to respond to it. So of course, Rick is has his own podcast again called Woo Nation. And he said he was very critical of what Becky Lynch said in her opening promo, welcoming back Ronda Rousey. When Becky started the promo, she said, "Welcome back, Ronnie." And then Ric Flair took exception to that because that's fucking harmless. He said, once again, she's not Ronnie. She's Ronda Rousey, okay? Anybody stupid enough to call her Ronnie and make a joke of her presence and what she brings to the company is out of their mind. As an example, what's her name now? Big Time Bex? Hey, Ronnie, welcome back. Wow, that's exciting. Hey, how about thank you, Rhonda, for showing up because I'm not the man anymore. I'm generic. Who am I? Big Time Bex? The last kicker? Who am I? Strong words from the Nature Boy right there. So let me get your guys' initial thoughts on that, and then we'll go to Becky Lynch's response.
Chris, go ahead, man.
I'm wondering if Charlotte has control of Ric Flair's Twitter account. She's just trolling Becky anytime that she can get it. Because I mean, this feud makes no sense. Like Rick, you sort of under your own volition left WWE earlier, last year, and so if you wanted to like create a program with Becky, you had your opportunity, my man. Like nothing's gonna come from this, is it? I'm just confused. I'm confused by the whole thing. Flair needs to be chilling out on talking aggressively towards women. That's for sure. So I just don't get this. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea.
This is such a bad look because it screams willful ignorance. Like Rick knows this is what a heel does to get under the skin of a babyface. You kind of use their name incorrectly, or you kind of mess around or forget their name, or anything like that. So her calling Ronda Ronnie is a way of trying. It's kind of also like a pet cute name. So it's a way of diminishing her, which is brilliant. That's what a heel is supposed to do. Fuck, MJF's been doing that for years. That's what they're supposed to do. And so she's doing exactly what is being set up here between heel versus face. So for Rick to play ignorant about it by saying, oh, it's disrespectful and what, you should be fucking kissing the ass of it doesn't make any sense. And right. Becky has made the company just as much money, if not more, as Ronda. So this idea that somehow it's Ronda coming in to save the company is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. If this is a real beef, this is such a colossal waste of time for Ric Flair. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Talk about punching down. You're a legacy guy. Why are you getting involved? Yes, your daughter's here. Let her handle her business. Why are you getting involved? You've got enough to deal with the fact you're going through a divorce now, or breakup, whatever. And the fact that you got all this shit, people still upset at you about that dark side of the ring. Why are you coming after a female wrestler like this? Unless this is an angle. If this is an angle, then okay, fine. They're going to bring him in. That makes sense. But to me, they've already played that angle a couple of times. He kissed her, for God's sake. So we've played the angle a number of times. I don't see any logical reason to reawaken this angle once more. And Becky's response, Aaron, I thought was perfect. What is it? It was ether, man. She lit him on fire, dude.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Let me throw something in there real quick. Like my second Simpsons reference in a week. Grandpa Simpson, old man yells at cloud. Like that's exactly what it is. Because what's Becky supposed to say? Like, thank you, Ron. This is how the promo would have gone if she said it the way that Rick wanted to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rhonda, for coming back. You mean so much to this company. I can't wait to beat your ass again and make you run from the company like you did last time. Like what is she supposed to say? Like that's how it would go. That's how it would. So that makes no fucking sense. Right. But we'll get to Becky's response here. Becky put up a tweet. Of course, she's a great follow. She says, "Work so hard, your heroes become your rivals. Then become so good, Ric Flair loses his mind every time you breathe." Becky Lynch, February 2022.
Just perfect. I mean, it's just a colossally perfect tweet. And look, sometimes you can go overboard. If you have 280 characters, sometimes you can say too much and go too far and what have you. And I think Becky absolutely used the correct amount of letters and the correct amount of words to light him on fire and elevate herself at the same time. That's not an easy thing to do with one sentence, and she absolutely, one or two sentences, and she absolutely did it here. And I thought it was a perfect response. And it shows her also pseudo taking the high road in this situation, and Rick looking like a fool, having even said anything. What'd you think of her tweet there, Chris?
Oh, I mean, come on. Word usage, efficiency, didn't take up too much real estate, got right to the point, put herself on the same legendary status as Rick, you know what I mean? And still sunned him at the same time. It's just, I mean, I don't know what happened when she took that punch to the face, but just like ever since then, she's just been operating on a completely different level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of sad because that's why her heel run right now isn't the best, because everyone loves her too much. She's too good. It's like, when Austin tried to turn heel in the middle of his height, like that's just not the time for it. You know what I mean? They gotta wait for the fans to let you know when to turn heel. But with that being said, she makes sense of everything that she does. It's even, this weird Twitter feud, but I mean, her promo against Lita, where she was talking about how she loves Lita and Lita's the reason that she's even there. And that, it hurts her heart that Lita would want to try to take something from her that's so important. Yeah. I mean, just finding the realness in it, finding the truth in it, finding, what's going to make it intriguing. Like, she's just the best at it. So, don't come at her. If you're going to come at the king on in a war of words, don't miss.
Does she have it? What do you think? Is this all her, man? Or do you think she has a team of people and she says, let's work this out. I need to tweet this, blah, blah, blah. Or is she that good? Because, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, she is in the top 5 of heels ever. Like, I've never seen anyone do it the way she's done. And I say top 5 because the odds against her were massive. The odds against her becoming a heel, breaking out from Charlotte's shadow, having the fans actually believe her, turn her catchphrases into t-shirts. Becky was a mid-carder who would occasionally slide up and get a title and then lose it. And then people would be like, God, I hope she gets it again. I hope she gets another chance. And then when she became heel, she went into the stratosphere. And as Chris pointed out, after that punch to the nose, she unlocked a whole new level that is rarefied air for a wrestler or a heel or face, rarefied air, and became the face of the company, And so it's been incredible to see her rise. And now she came back, overcame what, in my opinion, was a terrible comeback at Bianca Belair's expense. And she is, again, just completely, it's like a great ball player. One year they're great at this. The next year they add this to their game. Then they add this to their game, and they become greater and greater every year. When she's done, we may talk about her at the same level legitimately as Flair and Austin and Rock and Hogan, if she's not already there right now. It's phenomenal to watch. It's a joy to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, she's been on fire, man. Going on top, adding to that Lita promo when she said, if there was no Lita, there could be no Becky Lynch. But now that there is Becky Lynch, there can be no Lita. I was like, damn. Like, all she did was turn it, and that's a scathing return on that one. So I think she's just that good. I mean, I'm with the people in the chat. Yeah. I think she's just that good. She's just that witty.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, listen, man, we all love The Rock. We all love Dwayne Johnson, but I hate to break it to you, he didn't write a lot of his stuff. A lot of stuff was written by, I mean, it's true. A lot of stuff was written by Brian Gewirtz. Like, that's the fact of it. Could The Rock vibe and could The Rock, go off the cuff when he needed to? Absolutely. But a lot of his stuff was written. I think Becky just rolls with it. I think it's the same principle. Like, they give her stuff and she's like, well, we'll see. We'll kind of get it there. And when it works, it works.
Yeah, fair enough.
I can't wait to see Becky in a war of words with the returning Bayley. Talk about somebody whose level jumped incredibly in the last couple of years. True. Seeing them two at the top of their game with their current characters, that would set that division on fire.
You're 100% right. Ding Dong Hello versus Big Time Bex. I mean, already my mind's going crazy thinking about the possibilities. That may get me to watch SmackDown religiously without fast forward.
You don't want the hugger back?
No, never again. Let the hugger die.
You don't want her back?
No, never.
She gives good hugs.
Anyway, she lives the hug life. All right, let's move. Chris Miner sent in a super chat real quick before we move forward here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. He said, crazy how when the Wednesday Night War started, Keith and Adam were main eventing NXT, and now they are both on AEW. Crazy what can happen in 2 years. Yeah, very much true. And again, we'll put a pin on that because we're going to swing around to that. Anything more to say? I'm like, what happens now going, like, do you think Rick just should shut the fuck up? Is this, I mean, like, just let it go. Why are you still going on about this? Are we done with this? Or do you think he's going to keep mining it for attention?
I'm done with it. He ain't. That's for sure. Rick ain't. He hasn't stopped anything. He hasn't stopped divorces. He hasn't stopped drinking. He hasn't stopped. I mean, like, he just doesn't stop. This is what it is.
That's true. All right, Aaron, where are we off to next, my man? And just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the Streamlabs Super Chats are open. It's pinned in the chat. It's in the description of the video. Send in some support here for what we got going on for you live, talking to all kinds of stuff here in the world of pro wrestling. All right, sorry, Aaron, where are we off to, man?
All right, we're going to light the fuse. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite that happened this Wednesday. The show opened with the Inner Circle and Wardlow bringing out some cutouts of MJF choking out CM Punk, among other things.
Yeah.
And then MJF went on to talk about, as we all predicted, he would gloat about beating Punk and his world title aspirations. And then CM Punk, of course, cut him off and said, hey, how about FTR versus me? And I'll just grab somebody from the back. And they're like, okay. So the match is made for later in the night. Punk and a mystery opponent will take on FTR. Then we got Wardlow defeating the Blade with some vicious power bombs as they continue to build Wardlow up. The Inner Circle had a team meeting, as it's called, where Sammy ended up quitting, dropping his cut, as they say in Sons of Anarchy, while Santana and Ortiz challenged Jericho and Hager to a match next week. And man, Santana great on the mic there. The Super Elite beat down Rocky Romero and Trent backstage with some help from Jay White. Talked about it earlier. Here he is again. And we needed to find out who Isaiah Cassidy's mystery opponent was to take on here in this TNT qualifier, whatever match they're doing. Keith Lee was the guy. And no, not fucking Bearcat Keith Lee. Not Keith Bearcat Lee. Not Bearcat Thuckface Lee. It was Limitless Keith Lee that beat the shit out of Isaiah Cassidy. Anyway, we'll move on. CM Punk and his partner ended up being Jon Moxley, defeated FTR. I don't know how Jon Moxley recovered after being cursed by Danhausen, but here we are. Jade Cargill defeated AQA to retain the TBS championship. Serena Deeb defeated Katie Arquette by tap out. And in probably one of the most banger title matches they've had on TV, which has been a lot lately, it feels like, Hangman Adam Page defeated Lance Archer to retain his AEW World Championship, with Adam Cole coming out at the end to hand him his belt. So, guys, I mean, what do we think here?
Let's swing this back around. Aaron, Chris, and I have started each one of these segments. You start.
Okay,
Tell us what you thought about this whole situation. You go first.
I thought it was a pretty good show. Outside of some lagging parts with, after the Keith Lee stuff, we got Punk and Moxley, which was a nice callback. And then we kind of slowed it down with Jade and AQA. But Jade unveiled a nice move. Very similar to Jeff Cobb's Tour of the Islands, if you know what that is. Very nice spin around slam by Jade. Good to see that she's upping her arsenal. Reports are saying that she's working with Bryan Danielson. So there you go.
That's good.
Who better to teach Jade Cargill some stuff than probably one of the best in-ring performers in Bryan Danielson. The Inner Circle stuff, as long as it breaks them up, I'm for it. I don't need it, but I'm for it. Right. Of course, anything I can get MJF and Punk, I'm down. Good to see Punk, just putting in work on television. Of course, any FTR match, here we go. I'm going to be there. I love FTR. Good to see Jay White. We don't know exactly what Jay White's intentions are because all he did was help him out. He didn't shake hands, didn't do the too sweet. Mm-hmm. And then he came out on Rampage and continued to beat down Trent Beretta or Trent Question, whatever the fuck his name is. Trent, beat up Trent. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Jay White going forward. Keep an eye on that. Good to see Keith Lee, man. And I'll tell you why, because Keith Lee, no mustache with a singlet. As someone said on Twitter, I don't remember who it was good to see Keith Lee's titties again. Shout out to that. It was just good to see Keith Lee, man, because he looked happy.
Yeah, man.
Like he looked relieved. He's like, oh my God, thank God. And people forgot like how good Keith Lee could be. He threw Isaiah Cassidy like he was a fucking piece of paper across the ring. It was unbelievable. And I thought Keith Lee looked great. I thought JR was way the fuck off when he said that Keith Lee reminded him of a young Mark Henry.
Yeah, that was weird.
You fucking crazy?
That was weird.
It's like when Jericho said that Santana reminded him of a young Eddie Guerrero. It's like just because he's Latino doesn't mean he's Eddie Guerrero. Just because he's black doesn't mean that he's Mark Henry. Anyway, never seen Mark Henry do a drop down and get it again. But anyway, Keith Lee looked great. Excited to see what happens here. Do they push him all the way to the TNT title right away? I don't know. We'll see. Does he get in a feud with a returning Miro? Because we know that Miro has been cleared and could be on TV anytime. So look out. Maybe I'm going to put a pin in that one. I think that will happen.
Okay.
And of course, Hangman. We talked about it over the past couple of weeks. We thought Hangman was kind of. Did we forget about Hangman? Like he's still the world champion. This Archer stuff, I don't know, but they crushed it on Wednesday night. It was excellent, and it looks like at Revolution we're probably gonna get Page versus Adam Cole, baby. No stupid hugging gimmicks. Adam Cole versus Hangman Page. Give it to me. Yes.
Chris, what did you think about what stood out? Keith Lee coming back, Jay White, but these matches as well. The Texas Death Match. Punk and Moxley versus FTR and the MJF promo. Dynamite doesn't usually lead with a promo, and they did a promo segment for about 10, 50 or a vignette.
Like 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes, and it was damn good. Him coming out in the throne, him making out with that girl. I hope that was consensual. But what do you think about this whole situation here, this whole show from AEW Dynamite?
I mean, pretty stellar from top to bottom. I'm from the Attitude Era of, fandom really, and opening up with the 20-minute promo can go one of two ways. But this was fantastic. It was fantastic. And I love the wrinkle of, continuing that's right. Darby Allin and Sting don't like MJF either. Like, bringing them into the mix. Yeah. Even though I still feel like the big money feud is Sting versus Jericho. And then I like the twist of, well, you can have anybody you want, but not one of those guys. You know what I mean? Somebody else into the mix. And what it really highlights is how well AEW uses factions. It provides them an opportunity to create a bunch of different matchups and continue a singular story at the same time. Like, I just don't think FTR, as great as they are and as much as I love them, they probably wouldn't get nearly as much shine as they do if they weren't part of this Pinnacle, faction. Probably right. I think the same thing for a lot of the members of the Inner Circle, a lot of members of the Elite, a lot of the members, whatever it is. The Matt Hardy, family operation, we'd see none of those guys if they weren't part of a faction. I just love the way it helps build the anticipation to see the two main participants. You know what I mean? Like, I really want to see this MJF CM Punk rematch, but we're not even going to get it because he wants a rematch with Wardlow first. You know what I mean? And then so he's got to go through FTR to get to them. That's how you draw these things out, not just how they do in WWE, where it's like, oh, here's a promo, here's a promo, here's a promo, here's a promo, here's a promo. We're going to wrestle each other 8 times. And then be like, no, this is the one that matters. No. This is how you pace it. This is how you get other people involved. This is how you get multiple people over at once. Mm-hmm. Love that segment. I think someone in AEW was watching this show because we had been saying it a bunch of times. Adam Page needs some marquee wins, some memorable marquee wins. And the perfect use of color in the Texas Death Match, super innovative spot where, first of all, what great psychology of Adam Lambert cutting off the top rope so he can't buckshot lariat. Love that thing. There's, what is it? Something's gun for movies, whatever. And so that's got to come into play at some point. So then we get that super innovative spot of him flipping over the referee so he can hit his move through a table. I've never seen anything like that before. And it was amazing. I always mark out for the Jake Roberts short arm clothesline. Just a phenomenal episode, man. And Adam Cole being his next opponent. This is it. This is how you build the world title reign of Adam Page. Absolutely love it. Everything else from the show, Jade Cargill still looks good. She finally defended the TBS title on TBS. So that was,
Yeah, that's
a
true.
little Black History Month situation for you there. I'm a big fan of Serena Deeb. I kind of like this professor's challenge that she's doing.
Yeah.
Just overall a great episode. Keith Lee, come on. What am I going to say about Keith Lee that hasn't been already said? The man is he's a perfect human being. Absolutely perfect human being. He's great. Fantastic wrestler. We got to see the agility, come into play again, as well as the strength, which is something they never showed us in WWE really, except for when he was in NXT.
Right.
And then you said something, Aaron, about a particular person who debuted this week, and Switchblade Jay White, and you didn't know what he was up to next. You weren't sure, kind of what his intentions were, whether or not he was going to join in with the elite, whether he's on his own program, who knows? But we might be able to get to the bottom of that.
Oh,
yeah.
How's that, Chris?
Well, if you tune in tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, we're going to have Switchblade Jay White right here on Strong Style.
There you go.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know what you're doing tomorrow before the Super Bowl, but you need to be tuned in here. Get your questions in to Switchblade Jay White, because he's going to be talking to me, John, Aaron, asking all the questions that we want to ask about what the hell's going on with him being all elite. So if you need that, I suggest you be here.
That's right. Big shout out to Chris Burns for landing this interview. We have Jay White tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. PT on the Outlaw Nation on the Strong Style Show, talking about his return here coming into the AEW and what this means for him, what's next for him, what he's going to do here in AEW. So it's an exciting interview for us to get. So it's going to be so much fun to talk to him about his career and what he sees happening in AEW for him and where else he might be going. So this is a lot of fun, and it's going to be great for the three of us to be able to sit down with Jay White. So put it on the list. I'm going to book it and make that show happen here and put out the link and everything like that as soon as we're done with this show. So look for it. You can put it on your YouTube and make sure you put it on your schedule so you can be here at 9:30 a.m. PT for that interview with Jay White. We'll announce it at the end of the show as well to remind anybody who's coming in towards the tail end. Great stuff. Thank you, Chris, for getting that, man. We're looking forward to it big time. Big time.
Bullet Club for life, baby. He owes me favors.
God, he's going to kick my ass tomorrow. I think it's very fitting that a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is on Strong Style. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. If I give you my 2 cents on Dynamite, here's what I think. MJF cut a fantastic heel promo. I mean, wait a minute. All just works so well. The Wardlow thing, I mean, Punk going after Wardlow, yet again, just kind of laying another brick in that yellow brick road for him to get the hell out of that faction and turn on MJF. I love that they're taking their time with this. They don't have to rush this thing, whereas opposed to WWE likes to rush these turns. They're laying the groundwork now, and eventually he's going to make that turn. But Punk saying he wants the rematch against Wardlow, not MJF, because it's Wardlow who beat him, I thought was a great way to kind of really undercut MJF, really kind of elevate Wardlow. Yet again, putting another member of the young talent over. Punk doing that was brilliant. And then setting up the FTR match was great as well, because FTR getting a little shine with Punk is fun. Having Moxley come in, yet another thing to kind of bring Moxley back and make people feel good about Moxley again, putting him in a match like this with Punk, where he's not the star, but he's the surprise. And that lets people feel great about it. And Punk eventually getting the win, regardless of what Tully Blanchard tried to do with that suit jacket of death. he got the victory in the end, which I really enjoyed. Was Punk struggling at the end? Yes.
It's whack.
And we may see that happen more often than not going forward, unfortunately, because Punk's not a young man, ladies and gentlemen. So it may happen. We shall see. But Wardlow getting that victory over the Blade is great. I hope the Inner Circle is breaking up once and for all. Drop that white dude. Latino brothers, go off on your own. Fuck that white guy. Let him do his own thing. And I mean, the Super Elite with Rocky Romero and Trent backstage was great. But then Rocky Romero and Trent, their match against the Young Bucks was fantastic on Rampage with Jay White coming in at the end. But their match was great. Some of those spots were stellar to watch. Jade Cargill doing her thing. Serena Deeb getting closer and closer to that possible shot at the title. And that Hangman Archer match, I watched that thing twice that Hangman Page Lance. I didn't have anything to do on Thursday, so I just for a couple hours, so I just laid there on the couch and rewatched that match twice. It was so effing good. There were so many great spots. Chris is absolutely spot on to bring out that spot over the referee. We've all watched wrestling for decades. When you see something that you don't think you've ever seen before, you're usually correct. I've never seen someone use the referee in that manner before to lead to that kind of finisher off the table. It was brilliant. Now, does the count out take a little bit away from it because it wasn't a clean pin? Yes, but it's a way to keep this rivalry going. And Lance Archer has nothing to hang his head about because that guy is a brick wall and he is scary as hell. He's like Damian Priest on steroids, and he's scary as hell. And I think the next step for this guy is going to be delivering yet another one of these banger matches with Page. And eventually, don't be surprised that we're talking about Lance Archer down the road having a belt one way or another, some belt there in AEW, because he looks scary as hell and took some of the best shots from Hangman Page and still kept coming after him. So I love that. So overall, a great show. It's zipped. Great promos, great stuff going on. So I had a lot of fun watching AEW Dynamite this week. Rampage was not that bad either. I enjoyed Rampage too.
Was it better than SmackDown?
Yes. I will say yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about SmackDown. We'll just put a footnote on SmackDown real quick. Naomi versus Charlotte, great. Yeah. Naomi did out. If Naomi had, all she needed was a gun, apparently, to stop Charlotte Flair, because she did everything else to beat her. So many near falls, and then all Charlotte has to do is kick her in the back of the leg, do a natural selection. We're done.
Yeah.
So that sets up at Elimination Chamber. It looks like now we're going to get Naomi and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte and Sonya Deville. So, yay.
There was a Mr. McMahon sighting as well.
Well, he gave a mandate to Adam Pearce. It wasn't exactly a Mr. McMahon sighting, but yeah. He's not showing up on SmackDown. If you don't have to.
Did you get? Yeah, I mean, Naomi Charlotte was a good match, and it's great to see yet again Naomi coming close. And who knows if maybe down the road they're setting something up by giving her these matches, letting her kind of show what she can do, coming real close to winning. Maybe for those of us who cheer for her, maybe that's the possibility of a door opening for her to have the belt for a few months down the road. Who knows? But we have Asuka coming back at some point, Bayley coming back. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. Who knows if Naomi will get her shot, but she certainly deserves it, for God's sakes. But Charlotte, for all the crap she takes, she delivered a hell of a match here with Naomi, you got to say.
She's so fucking athletic, dude. It's ridiculous. Dude. It's absolutely unfair and ridiculous how athletic that woman is. It's crazy.
It's true. All right, Aaron, let's see if I got any Streamlabs or Super Chats. Yeah, we got a few of those that have rolled through. Let me read them, and then we'll jump into our last topic here. Empire Fan 1980 says, funny that I remember correctly that Dean attacked Punk when the Shield debuted, and now they are teaming up. It's a small world. Hey, if I can team up with JTE, then why can't Moxley team up with Punk? The world changes all the time. You never know. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So you just never know who you can team up. But I like these two together. It probably won't be the last time we see them together, but I like those two together. What'd you guys think of them hooking up on the show?
The visual is fantastic. And I love that they did a callback to literally a spot they did in WWE where they were like kind of against the odds and went back to back, slowly standing up in unlikely of friends situation. And, my immediate thought was, what does Danielson think of this pair? Does he try to recruit CM Punk into the ex-WWE guys who are on top of the world? Little faction that he's trying to get together with Moxley could be interesting because we've been waiting for the interaction between Danielson and Punk. Hasn't happened yet since they debuted. So, could be exciting there. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. What'd you think about it, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great, right? You love to see those callbacks. Unfortunately, Tully Blanchard looked like he wanted to be anywhere from taking that GTS at the end. Right. But yeah, it's cool to see those kind of things. But I mean, again, different. It's a different cinematic universe, if you will. Yeah. So like the Shield doesn't exist in the AEW universe and stuff, or maybe it does. I don't know. It doesn't exist back in anyway. Yeah. The Shield in WWE was only Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. There was no Dean Ambrose. So I know what you're talking about. So,
oh my God, there you go.
Mind trick from your brain. So, Yeah, it's cool to see that when it happens. I mean, Hulk Hogan and Paul Orndorff did it back in the day. Macho Man and Warrior, Ultimate Maniacs. They came together. So
get him on the phone. I can't get him on the phone.
There you go.
God.
So
that's one of my favorite turns. Orndorff was so great in that program, man. All right, see, we got 3 Streamlabs that have come through here. Justin Toner says, hi, guys. Props to RK Bro being so over, and to Chad Gable for his heel work right now. Yeah, 1,000%. They're keeping Raw from being total garbage. I marked out for Keith Lee's AEW debut. So happy for him. Hopefully, TK is bringing in his wife, Mia Yim, next. Is that the next step for AEW, bringing in Mia Yim?
I mean, we talk about it. They need all the great workers in the women's division in AEW that they can get. So yeah, why not? Why not?
Aaron?
Sure. To me, like the hottest female free agent would be Ember Moon, but that's just me because I like her style. But yeah, Mia Yim, why not? I mean, make it a package deal. She did throw up the old fake honeymoon picture because her and Keith got married, I believe, last weekend, and then she threw up the picture that they were having drinks on the beach, and turned out it was fake or from another time because Keith Lee showed up in AEW, so it could be only a matter of time.
Yeah, nice little swerve by her. And I haven't said my piece on Keith Lee. This was great. He was so happy, as you said, Aaron. So he seemed like he was so relieved to be there, and so he took advantage, soaked in the chance, soaked in the love, and then was tossing homie all over that ring. It was even Shivani was kind of at a loss for words when he threw that guy the first time, and then eventually took care of business by the end. But great ferocity, and Jim Ross comparing to Mark Henry was absolutely ridiculous. More limber than Mark Henry, better moves than Mark Henry. No offense to Mark Henry, who was a powerhouse and did his thing. But what do you know Mark Henry for? Being strong and turning on John Cena in his supposedly retirement match. That's it. You don't remember any great match from Mark Henry. You just don't. So for me, Keith Lee already is elevated past Mark Henry. And no doubt he'll have a belt soon. And they better not piss this away. I mean, this is a great guy to bring in. The fans were all over it. They were chanting for him. It's everything. So I hope they handle their business there and make sure he's taken care of and book him correctly throughout his run.
Put him with Miro.
Yeah.
Big meaty men slapping meat. Put them together.
Yeah, but doesn't that hurt Miro if he loses to him on his return back? And it hurts Keith Lee if he loses to Miro, doesn't it?
Who said he's got to lose? Who said who said they had to lose?
Oh, so you think what, double count out every time?
I mean, they could be a multi-man match. It doesn't have to be like they could branch off from that and spread it out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, people got to win and lose. That's life.
I guess so. John Alexander says, considering the low ratings for the MJF versus Punk match, do you guys feel like Punk is still the draw he was when he got to AEW? Yeah, there were another of things that were going on, right, at that night that I think affected the ratings, or do you think this was a reflection that people weren't that interested in MJF versus Punk?
Can I just say this once and for all? Let me just say this once and for all.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I got to scoot closer because this is important. I don't know why wrestling fans give a flying fuck about ratings, because it has nothing to do with anything that you do in your viewing experience. Have you ever watched, say for instance, and I'm not going after the person that wrote it because it's not, that wasn't their intention of this question, but you ever watch a match and you go, oh, I bet that did a shit rating? No, you don't do that. It's the same thing with movie box office. Do you really give a shit if Iron Man makes $550 million and Thor 2 makes $542 million? Who gives a fuck? It doesn't stop you from enjoying or not liking the movie. It doesn't inhibit or exacerbate your experience whatsoever. So who gives a shit? Yeah. It doesn't matter. So stop relying on these arbitrary numbers. Those numbers are for sponsors and for corporate people. No one me and you don't give a shit and never should give a shit. So when Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp and these people report ratings, it's just who fucking cares? It's just a way for people to, it's just a way for fans and stuff to just badmouth each other. And it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know why you care.
All right. There you go. Well said by Aaron. Chris, thoughts on that? Ratings and all of this?
No, absolutely. I mean, this is not 1994. You know what I mean? Where it's there's so many different ways that people, consume wrestling content. I mean, look at the YouTube views, that WWE does, that AEW does. I mean, and most people are watching it on, replays and DVRs and all that good stuff anyway. So, if somebody's a draw at the end of the day, when CM Punk shows up in Chicago and they sell out the building, weeks before it's about to happen, the man's a draw. You know what I mean? It's just like and it's one of the feuds that every wrestling fan is talking about, and ultimately that's what matters. Like, the draw is, do we care or not? And we care. Everybody cares about Punk.
Absolutely. Justin Toner said, also pumped for Adam Cole, baby, versus Hangman for the title. Give me Keith Lee versus Miro. Also, highly recommend watching Becky Lynch's Broken Skull session with Stone Cold. Awesome and revealing interview. I'm not hyped for Mania right now, but the build is lacking. Did you guys watch the Broken Skull session with Becky Lynch? And do you think the WrestleMania build is a little bit kind of meh right now?
I did. I mean, I don't miss a Broken Skull session. It's just like fantastic. I love the selection of guests that they bring on. I mean, Ron Simmons is next, and that's going to be so interesting. Like, that's just such a great dynamic to have those two guys talking. It was revealing, and you saw kind of her getting vulnerable about her relationship with Charlotte and how strained it is, and how they go back to NXT, and how it's kind of a shame that it's gotten to where it is. But those are the price of doing business when you are both trying to vie for that top spot. It is a great interview. As far as the Mania build, there's some pieces. It's like they're playing shy chess. You're going, King's Pawn opening instead of Knight's King's Gambit. For those my chess aficionados out there. So just, they could be a little bit more aggressive, but they got time. They got to get through Elimination Chamber in the alternate universe that is Saudi Arabia, and then they got to get, and then we'll get to Mania in April. We'll get there.
Yeah. What do you think, Aaron? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing for Saudi right now. They're pushing Elimination Chamber right now. So once that's over with, then we're going to get the big 2-month Mania push, because it's in Dallas, right? So I mean, they got time. Plus the Super Bowl's like right now, so they don't really need to be pushing anything over the Super Bowl, because it'll just get lost in the noise. Maybe they'll have a Super Bowl ahead. You never know. So I'm not really too concerned about the card. I mean, we've got confirmed Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, confirmed Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, which doesn't make sense, but what the fuck ever, it can still change. And you can kind of see where we're going with some stuff, but we're not there yet. Drew McIntyre apparently can stab people or threaten them with swords. That's a thing. Speaking, this wasn't part of the question, but with Roman Reigns, can we talk about this for a second? Because Roman Reigns last night, I'm always entertained. Ever since we've had the Tribal Chief, been very entertained by Roman Reigns. But he said that he was going to Goldberg.
Yeah, that was weird.
I loved it, because that just means he's going to go in and kick his ass. And I just really enjoyed that. And I also, John, I don't know if you saw the clip that I sent you of Roman Reigns getting some coaching. From a child. Fucking tremendous. Like, if you haven't seen that clip, some kid yells at Roman Reigns to help the Usos in a tag match, and Roman does it, and it's so good. So good. So, I mean, Roman Reigns, great, amazing stuff. I know that wasn't your question, but
got to give him flowers for his heel work as well. As much as I talked about Becky Lynch earlier, I mean, Roman Reigns is, again, another guy who finally took the ball. The lane finally opened up for him, and he has burst through it, and the fans are cheering for him like crazy. Sometimes it can take you a little while to find the hole in the line, but once you do, you can go straight through that touchdown, man. And so it looks like that's what he's been doing over the last few months or a year and a half or so. And so it's great to see for him. And again, this is the thing you got to understand about wrestling. It's the number one thing. Getting there is certainly part of it. Staying there, staying innovative, staying creative, staying interesting. Once you've got the spotlight on you, that is the real battle. That is the real struggle, because once you've got the light on you, everybody's mad at you, everybody's jealous, and everybody wants the fucking light, because everybody thinks they can do the same thing as you. And so you've got to keep innovating and keeping them away from the light, or if you bring them into the light, it's so you can use them to beat them and elevate yourself more. That's the game. And so the fact that both Becky and Roman have been doing that respectively in their own divisions has been incredible to watch. So, for all the crap around Raw and SmackDown and bitching about WWE, you're still watching two amazing wrestlers deliver some of the most career-defining work you're ever going to see from any two wrestlers for sure. All right, there we go. Those were all the Streamlabs and Super Chats. Let's get into our last comment or story here, Aaron.
Again, I have to back it up. I'm sorry. But
okay.
Roman Reigns also said about when they were talking about, Goldberg was 171-0 in WCW. And then Roman Reigns said, well, that's WCW. And if I was there, they'd still be in business. Which is just fucking great. So Roman Reigns, our tribal chief, acknowledge him. Amazing. Okay, so we'll get into our last story here. Sorry for holding up the line. So Hikaru Shida came out this week, and I feel like this story is getting misconstrued, so I wanted to talk about it.
Sure.
She wrote a column for Weekly Pro Wrestling, which is a Japanese wrestling publication, and she had some interesting things to say about AEW and her struggles being a Japanese women's pro wrestler in the United States and for the company. So let me read some of the stuff she said here, and we'll get some thoughts. She said, my feeling is that the hurdle for Japanese women's pro wrestlers that come to AEW has become much higher. The major cause is the Corona disaster, which is, of course, not easy to finish, and it's because the AEW's women's division has grown so much in the past year. AEW is an organization that is constantly changing, and the players come and go very rapidly. TV and YouTube. If you've been following AEW on Fight TV or YouTube, you'll know that the women's division in particular has seen an increase in the number of young, cute, and dynamic players over the past year. At the time of launch, the women's division of AEW relied heavily on Japanese female pro wrestlers, and that was one of the selling points of the division. But that was only for a while after the launch. Nowadays, being a Japanese female pro wrestler is not as much of an advantage as it used to be. On the contrary, it has become more of a handicap in terms of language barrier, obtaining a work visa, and the Corona disaster. I myself am no exception to this, and even as a member of the AEW roster since its inception and a former women's champion, I am struggling to survive in the current AEW. In AEW, there is a high degree of freedom for the players, but because of that, everything is their responsibility. For example, there is basically no assistance from the organization in finding a place to live, even if you are Japanese. That's how it was for me. She goes on to say, so when she heard that Sakura-san, Emi Sakura, was moving to the U.S., she was worried. She'd been studying English since she was a child, and she speaks English better than most people, but still had a lot of trouble. Emi Sakura, on the other hand, was at a level where was daily conversational, or she was at a level where even daily conversation was questionable. Even so, she found a room on her own and is desperately trying to seize an opportunity within AEW. But even though she came to America with such determination, she was not given a chance to participate in TV matches. There is a fierce battle to get a chance to compete before you can show off your skills in a match. That's what AEW is today. She also went on to say, I promise I'll get to the end soon, AEW is an organization that is always pursuing new possibilities. And I don't think that Japanese women's wrestling has disappeared from that list of options. Once Corona settles down, there will be a day when AEW and Japanese women's wrestling can interact in a new way. That being said, I would like to take this opportunity to say that even if we are able to sign a contract, it's just the start. So what do you think here of Shida's comments about her struggles within AEW, even being a former women's world champion?
Chris?
I mean, bravo to her, really, for bringing it to light. We have often discussed, and so some of the louder, internet fans have discussed about how a lot of these women seem to fly under the radar and they'll disappear from TV for, weeks at a time and with no explanation, no idea what's going on. They're not put into these feuds that carry on or these storylines that, keep building as the weeks go on. And it was nice to get some insight into that and to see like, oh man, there's like very real world, situations that are affecting their on-screen time. And I think that AEW should really take a look at that and really provide that context more to the fans as well. Like, I think about Shinsuke Nakamura in the WWE a lot, where he came in with this billing of, oh, he's the king of strong style. If you don't know what strong style is, what does that mean to you? You know, there was no real context provided of, you know, kind of what his style was, what he was bringing culturally that we didn't have in the WWE in the United States, really. And I think that's the kind of same thing with a lot of these Joshi wrestlers that come over. It's like, oh, well, she's got like a cult following. Let's just bring her in for a match and just have it happen. Like, remember Maki Ito was there for like a month and she's gone. You know what I mean? Poof, goodbye. Not to say that by Aaron's face, I can see that he's not the big fan of her work, maybe, but she did have a you know, some heat at the moment, and then they brought her in, and then she was quickly gone. So, yeah, I think that more sort of light and awareness on the situation is going to lead to nothing but change, which is what they need, because these are some really talented people. We need context. We need more help from the organization and the company to make sure that they are comfortable here in the United States so that they can thrive. You know, I'm sure that there's a lot of precautions taken for when guys like Omega and the Bucks were out in Japan, and Cody and all those guys, to make sure that they had everything that they needed.
That's the culture in Japan. Yeah,
absolutely. And so we got to extend that in reverse. Absolutely.
Yes, these are interesting comments, and I think they were very open, honest, vulnerable comments, and I appreciated them for what they were, and it made me grow. My estimation for Hikaru Shida grew even more after reading these, because this is not easy to write. You know, being really open and vulnerable. This could affect your employment. This could affect how fans see you. This could affect how Tony Khan sees her, wants to use her in programs going forward. Other wrestling companies. This could be a situation here where it could be turned kind of in a negative light. Oh, she's complaining. Well, you want the freedom now. You can't handle the freedom. You can see the criticism coming. But, you know, so it takes bravery to write the stuff that she wrote and put it out there. And this is such an interesting thing. I mean, it wasn't it's barely a little bit over a month ago that the big swole accusations that were put on Tony Khan and AEW. So this is yet another, it's not saying this is racism, but it's certainly saying me as a foreigner coming into this country to ply my trade in your company, to help your company, especially at the time when the women's division was not that strong. I was kind of holding down the line. I was your champion, but I didn't feel like I was supported in a way that I should have been supported. I didn't have, you know, I was left to fend on my own to find a place. The fact that there are Japanese female wrestlers coming over who, it's according to her, have a difficult time finding a place to live, don't have a lot of help in terms of interpreters and things of that nature, and they're kind of left on their own. And look, I get it. You know, it's like, you know, you want to make it in this country, you got to fight, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But you've got to, it takes a village, and it's always taken a fucking village. No one's ever done it by themselves. And so to me, this is kind of a mistake here by AEW. And I hope that they take this from the place that it's coming from, which wasn't criticism. It was to make people aware that this is what's happening here, and maybe give a little more context when we see these Japanese female wrestlers come over. And like Chris said, they show up and then disappear for a few months or a few weeks and then come back and whatever. And then there's always comments about whether they're good on the mic or not. And the language barrier is an issue, you know, so that has to be addressed, because wouldn't you want your wrestler to succeed? So if you want your wrestler to succeed, set up programs so that they can succeed, and you will benefit from the money they're going to make you. So I've never understood companies that kind of leave employees out there on the ground and don't. Sorry, my Fitbit's going off. I guess like group threads going on. It's driving me nuts. But I can't understand. I don't understand companies that leave their employees out there in the cold to figure it out for themselves. It never makes any sense. Not a lot of people are motivated by that. Some are, but not a lot. And what you want is more people motivated, because that ends up affecting your bottom line in a positive way. So I love that she wrote this. It took a lot of bravery. And in a way, she's almost like a stateswoman for these female Japanese wrestlers. She's almost appointed herself that by writing that letter. And so I hope this helps other people have a little more understanding and context for these Japanese female wrestlers and Japanese male wrestlers that come over here. Let's not forget, Nakamura has taken hits for this, as you pointed out, Chris. Nakamura's taken hits for this on the mic as well, and not preparing people to understand the legacy of these wrestlers before they show up when they're coming from a foreign country, I think is a big mistake. So you've got to get that footage, get the permission to use that footage, and get people hyped up for them, and then help them kind of come over or go over the language barrier. You know, plenty of Japanese people have come over to the country, have been successful, and gotten over the language barrier through assistance. So it drives me insane that AEW hasn't set that up by now. It's kind of shocking.
Well, I know that NXT, when you go there, they don't give you housing, but they will help you because most of the wrestlers live in the same place. So if you go to Orlando and you go to Baldwin Park, you'll probably run into your favorite NXT superstar there because they all live in Baldwin Park. But anyway, the thing I like that I will say a positive. The thing I like what AEW does with their Japanese or Asian talent most of the time is that they allow them to be baby faces. Because how many times in the WWE, except with the exception of Nakamura, he kind of goes back and forth. But like, how many times have we seen like an Asian come in and they are the foreigner heel? Like, not everybody's Mr. Fuji. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody has to be this dastardly villain. And I mean, like, at least AEW, like, there was somebody you could believe in like Riho and Hikaru Shida. And WWE eventually got there with like Kairi Sane and Io Shirai, but they had to eventually turn them heel. They turned Asuka heel too. And it's just like, well, they're foreign. They have to be evil, pal. But I don't know who Hikaru Shida knows in the US. I know that if it wasn't for Kairi Sane, we wouldn't have got Io Shirai in NXT because that's her like best pal. And she lived with Kairi Sane, and Kairi Sane kind of walked her through like how to do the stuff. So I don't know what her connections are. Hopefully she's got friends here that could help her through that if she was struggling. But yeah, I mean, it really has to suck. You walk into it, like if I went to Germany, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I wouldn't know like up from down there. So like, I can't imagine coming to a country like the United States where you don't really know the language and stuff like that, and try to, hey, figure it out, pal. Like, my God. Yeah. And to Shida's credit as well, her English has gotten quite a bit good. She cut a promo in English on Serena Deeb. It's pretty good stuff. So, I mean, she doesn't have to do that, but at least she's trying to do that, and she's making it good and a good effort. And I like Shida as a wrestler, and her vulnerability here is awesome. And I'm glad that she was open about it. And I'm sure Tony Khan, hopefully take that under advisement. If he's going to actually look at the Big Swole stuff and take that under advisement, hopefully he'll do this and not bury Shida like he did Big Swole. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Yeah, Chris, do you think he'll kind of take this under advisement? And because a lot of people pointing out in the chat, which I did not know, that this interview was behind a paywall on a Japanese site, and it was Sean Sapp at Fightful. That's what they're saying, who paid for it, got it, and then posted it as a news item in the US. So this was never supposed to be seen in the US, but you do anything, it's always got a chance to get out, right? Or Reddit, whatever. There's a number of places it can get out. So it wasn't made to go at AEW necessarily. She didn't do it in an English paper in the States. She did it for a Japanese publication there. So do you think Tony Khan kind of hears her point of view and maybe makes some adjustments here? Or do you think this is a situation where, look, this is the way it is. We don't have a lot of money. This is what we got to do. You got to figure it out.
I think he's the kind of take action sort of guy. A lot of the earlier criticisms of the company, not just with how they, do business, but also, creative and things like that, and the corporate structure, he stepped in. Initially, it was all about the EVPs and the Bucks and Cody and Kenny Omega. Now you barely ever hear about them making decisions. You hear about Tony making decisions. So I think he realizes that the inmates can only run the asylum so much. Mm-hmm. We heard a lot about Kenny Omega was in charge of the women's division and bringing in a lot of these Joshi wrestlers, et cetera, et cetera. Now he's gone, and like I said, you don't hear much about it. So I just probably one of those things that Tony has a lot of responsibilities, and the more and more noise made about this, it'll get to the top of the list. So I have faith in him.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, where's Kenny Omega's role in this too? Because I mean, weren't they dating for a little bit, or are they still dating? So I wonder if that's. Yeah, so I wonder about all that as well. All right, and let's see. We got a super chat that came through here. Empire Fan 1980 says AEW isn't the only one with this problem. WWE does it too. Whatever happened to the two women's wrestlers with Paige as a manager?
Are you talking about Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville?
Yeah, I mean,
they're doing fine. Yeah, they're doing just fine.
Did she manage another couple of women?
I don't think so. Unless you're talking about. She did for a minute manage Kairi Sane and Asuka.
Yeah.
So Kairi Sane is effectively retired. I mean, she took a corporate job with WWE in Japan.
right,
and then retired to be with her husband and her family, and then Asuka's injured. So I don't know what you're getting at there.
That's weird. Yeah, that was a little
clarify,
weird.
sir.
He also sent another one here earlier. Let me see if I can find it about what was your favorite. Yeah, here we go. What was your favorite and least favorite things about the Attitude Era? I was a kid doing I was a kid at the time. I remember liking the bra and panties matches. LOL. Oh my God, Empire fan. Anyway, all right. What do you guys real quick? What are your favorite and least favorite things about the Attitude Era?
Favorite being that no matter who you were, you had a storyline, top to bottom of the card. Austin, New Age Outlaws, whoever. No matter where you were, you had a story going on.
Yeah.
Least favorite thing, I mean, kind of the bra and panties stuff, the real gratuitous stuff for the sake of. I mean, the Crash TV, Jerry Springer stuff that people say that's what the Attitude Era was. It's like it actually wasn't. If you really, really were watching then, yeah.
What about you, Aaron? Well, I mean, it would be easy for me to say like DX was my favorite thing because I love DX. But I'm gonna throw one out here. Crash Holly was my favorite thing about the Attitude Era because Crash Holly coming out with a scale, thinking that he was a heavyweight, fucking incredible. Like incredible stuff from Crash Holly. Rest in peace. My least favorite stuff about the Attitude Era is probably the Crash TV, like all that kind of stuff you're talking about. The I did it for The Rock, like all that stupid shit. Like I don't need any of that. So Crash Holly.
I think my favorite thing about the Attitude Era is that it stripped away all the stuff from the 1980s. Even though I loved it, stripping it away and having real back and forths that felt like they weren't scripted, that felt like anything could happen at any moment. And it kind of encapsulated the feeling that the world or the country, specifically the US, was going through in breaking through all these old kind of ways of doing things, these old ways of putting things on and making it more real. That's what it was all about. Guys with their actual names or guys with regular names were coming in these. Yeah, they had their nicknames or whatever, but it wasn't like Tatanka. It wasn't, those kinds of things. And so you love that this was what you got with the Attitude Era and an elevation of so many incredible stars who are doing it today still in different areas. Stone Cold doing what he's doing in his empire, The Rock with his empire, certainly Triple H for a long time until recently with WWE. So and Jericho's still doing his thing in a number of areas. So a lot of these people still, Mick Foley still succeeding, still in our purview, and Lita and Trish are always beloved by the fans. So there was so much about the explosion of talent that we got here that felt real and authentic, and it broke all those walls. And I agree with both of these gentlemen. The Crash TV stuff, the bra and panties match, that shit is horrific now when you go back and look at it. It's exploitive, it's unnecessary, and whenever they hint at it, for example, Alexa Bliss covering and turning, I get really fucking upset about it because it's not necessary. It's to me, bra and panties is no different than a as Aaron might say, when he hates the death matches. Both those things are meant to desperately get people to watch your content, and that is a temporary fix to a bigger problem, and I think that's an issue there. So I'm glad we're done with those things now. In retrospect, for sure. All right, and Scott Welsh sent in a Streamlab right here at the end here, said, Aaron, being able to stab someone with a sword is part of your birthright as a Scotsman. Freedom!
Fair enough. Yeah, that's true. That's true. How did Riddick Moss have a black eye from a sword being put in his face, but it didn't hit him? I don't know how that happened, but something else about the Attitude Era. Why was Ken Shamrock never champion?
For many reasons, bro.
He should have been WWE champion. Go back and look
at the mic.
Doesn't matter. Ken Shamrock would have been the most believable WWF champion if there was no Stone Cold, Rock, Undertaker, Kane, or Triple H. Shamrock would have been that.
You just said it. A lot of guys needed.
No Mick Foley, Big Show, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Or anybody. Ken Shamrock could have been the guy.
Oh, it's true. Very true. Empire says, I forgot it was Asuka was a part of that group, and I don't know the only one retired.
Kairi Sane effectively retired pretty much.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I think that's it, right, Aaron? We got no more news items, so we're good to go.
That's it, man.
Okay, let's get on out of here. Thank you all so much for joining us live here on this episode of Strong Style on the Outlaw Nation channel. We appreciate it madly. Lively chat as always. Please remember to hit a like on this video as we're wrapping up things here. Hit a like on this video. I have 95 of you watching us right now, so hit a like on this video as we get that up. If you're watching later, hit a like and leave a comment. Likes and comments elevate the visibility of this channel. Chris, brother, please, the announcement one more time. Let people know who maybe are coming in a little bit late to watch the show.
Tomorrow, same bat channel, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Me, Strong Style Cast. We're going to be talking to Switchblade Jay White, who just made his AEW debut this past Wednesday. He's coming in hot. I've already talked to him a little bit. He's got a lot on his mind, and we're going to get it all out. So do not miss that tomorrow.
And tell people where they can find you, brother.
They can find me at Chris Please on all the things. Go find me.
There you go. And Aaron, good, another fun show, brother, man. Where can they find you?
You find me on Twitter, rubbing this in Gramash's face. It's Sting! The Sting Dad, the collection, Gramash, and Ultimate Warrior. But you can find me on Twitter at only Aaron Turner. Find me there and find me tomorrow. Talking to Switchblade Jay White.
There you go. Switchblade Jay White, 9:30 a.m. PT tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Thank you all so much. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch. I will be doing a watch along after the interview with Jay White for the Super Bowl on Twitch. So if you want to hang out with me and watch the Super Bowl, 980 of you watched the NFC Championship with me last week on Twitch. So join me tomorrow to watch the Super Bowl with me and have some fun on Twitch there, the Outlaw Nation, all one word. We just did on the Outlaw Nation also, we just did our spoiler review of the Book of Boba Fett finale. It is up there on the channel now with the Geek Buddies and Laura Kelly talking about everything that happened over 2 hours in that finale. So go and listen to that or watch that now. And remember, everything we have is available on the podcast network as well. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast network, the Outlaw Nation podcast network, wherever you download podcasts, go and subscribe if you want to listen to us, but you don't want to watch our pretty faces. All right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great rest of your Saturday. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new live episode of Strong Style.